Hello, Chris Kiek here, and I'm an expert Tekla Structures trainer and consultant, and I want to explain some of the strategies that you can use to successfully get started with Tekla after you've gone through an intensive training. Whether you've done an online training or I've come out on site and trained you, or you've done some other mechanism of training, here are some strategies. The first one is that after the intensive training, you must touch Tekla every day. Whether it's 30 minutes or an hour, you have to touch it. If you go more than a few days without touching Tekla and you go back to AutoCAD or whatever else you were using to detail before because you get back to production work, you're just gonna start losing things out of your mind and you're gonna start forgetting, and it's gonna be really tough to get back. The next critical thing I would say is if you are in the middle of having to go back to production and you're transitioning to Tekla Structures from another software or from an existing workflow, then I would say that take something that you detailed during the day with the other software, say in CAD, and just practice a little bit of that in Tekla. You'll have the detailing primed in your mind of what you detailed that day. And then now you're just trying to think of, how do I do that in Tekla? So you're not trying to store the detailing and think in Tekla like all at once if you were doing a new job in Tekla. You're just really like taking something that's already fresh in mind and then figuring out how to do that in Tekla. The other thing I would say is start simple. Everybody gets excited with Tekla because they want to like do the really complex projects and do Hip and Valley and really large complex things in 3D. Yeah, you're gonna get there, you will, but start simple. You really need to understand, especially if you're tasked with detailing an entire job in Tekla, you should just model 2 columns in a beam and connect them up and make all of the shop drawings, run numbering, make the shop drawings, do the CNC, make an erection drawing, and do everything all the way through the entire process. Then, if you really want to challenge yourself, make changes, right? Make changes, run numbering again, see how the drawing list and the document manager reacts and how the changes happen and how to process a revision. When you can start to get confidence and understand the entire workflow, this is really where you're gonna really get Tekla clicking in your head and the muscle memory will start kicking in. And last piece of advice is just really practice the manual modeling. Don't become too dependent on the Tekla components right away. Make sure you know how to model anything and you truly understand how the components are putting in cuts and fittings and doing all of the different part types, because this is going to give you the strength to be able to do anything and not get stuck, especially when you're first starting out with Tekla.